Marcus Tate steps onto a gleaming jet in Dallas, his crisp suit screaming success. But flight attendant Diana Kessler smirks, muttering poor, like he's trash. The plane roars into the sky, then jolts hard, engines screaming as passengers shriek. Marcus grips his seat, her sneer burning in his mind. This isn't random turbulence, it's targeted, and his empire's at stake. What's Diana hiding? Before we dive in, tell us where you're watching from. If you stand for justice, hit like, subscribe, and join us for more epic showdowns. Marcus Tate settles into the plush leather seat of Horizon Airways' luxury jet, his charcoal suit hugging his frame like it was stitched for a king, every crease sharp enough to cut glass. The cabin hums with quiet wealth, crystal glasses clinking, softly as passengers sip pre-flight cocktails under the glow of amber lights. He's in Dallas, bound for Chicago, but this isn't just a trip, it's a mission. As the secret owner of this airline, he's gone undercover to eyeball the operation, to feel the pulse of his empire from the passenger's side. His carry-on, a sleek black roller with a monogrammed tag, sits snug beside him, and he adjusts. His gold cufflinks, each one glinting with the weight of years spent clawing his way up from nothing to everything. The jet's engines purr outside, a steady growl that promises a smooth ride. But the air shifts when a shadow looms over him. Diana Kessler, a flight attendant with a crown of fiery red hair pulled tight into a bun, stands in the aisle. Her uniform so crisp it could stand on its own. She's tall, wiry, with pale skin stretched tight over sharp cheekbones, and her green eyes narrow as they rake over him. Her lips twist into something sour, not quite a sneer but close enough to make his stomach tighten. She clears her throat, loud enough that the white couple 2 rows up glance over, their champagne flutes pausing mid-sip. "This isn't the discount section, sir," she says, her voice slicing through the cabin's hum like a dull blade, slow and deliberate, every word dripping with venom. Heads turn, a businessman in a pinstripe suit peering over his tablet, a woman in pearls clutching her purse a little tighter. Marcus feels the weight of their stares, the unspoken judgment that's followed him since he was a kid in a threadbare jacket, but he doesn't flinch. He tilts his head, meeting Diana's gaze with a calm that's almost a weapon, and slides his boarding pass from his jacket pocket, the paper crisp between his fingers. "I'm in the right seat," he says, his tone even, deep, the kind of voice that fills a room without trying. She snatches the pass, her nails painted a chipped coral, and barely glances at it before letting out a scoff, a dry little chuckle that grates against his ears. "Must have been a glitch," she mutters, handing it back like it's dirty, her eyes flicking over his suit again, lingering on the polished leather of his shoes as if they're some cheap knockoff. "People like you don't fly first." The words hang there, bold and ugly, and the cabin goes quieter, the clinking glasses stilled, the hum of chatter snuffed out. Marcus feels the old rage bubble up, the kind he's buried under boardroom deals and million-dollar contracts. But he keeps it locked down, his face a mask of stone. He could end her right now, drop the bomb that he owns every bolt on this plane, but he doesn't. Not yet. He wants to see how far she'll dig this hole, how deep her assumptions run, because he's played this game before, and he always wins. He leans back, folding his hands over his knee, and says, "Check again if you need to." Diana's smirk falters for half a heartbeat, but she recovers, stepping back with a shrug that's all fake nonchalance. "Enjoy your flight," she says, her voice clipped, turning on her heel to strut toward the galley, her heels clicking against the carpet like tiny gunshots. Marcus watches her go, his fingers tapping a slow rhythm on his thigh, already plotting his next move. He's about to pull out his phone, maybe text his COO to flag this woman's name, when the jet lurches hard, a violent shudder that sends a tray of glassware crashing to the floor. The cabin erupts and gasps, a woman shrieking, as her drink splashes across her silk blouse, the pinstripe suit guy gripping his armrests until his knuckles bleach white. Marcus steadies himself, his heart kicking up a notch, but his eyes dart to the window where the wing dips sharply against a gray Texas sky. The engines whine, a high-pitched scream that doesn't belong, and the overhead lights flicker, casting jagged shadows across the walls. Diana stumbles out of the galley, her bun unraveling as she grabs the wall for balance, her face twisting into something wild. She locks eyes with him, and instead of fear, There's fury, a blazing accusation that hits him like a slap. "What did you do?" she hisses loud enough for the front rows to hear, her finger jabbing toward him as if he's the one yanking the controls. The couple with the champagne flinch, the woman whispering something to her husband, and the businessman's tablet slips to the floor with a dull thud. Marcus doesn't move, doesn't blink, just stares her down as the jet bucks again. A second jolt that rattles the overhead bins, spilling a leather satchel into the aisle. The intercom crackles, the pilot's voice cutting through, tight and clipped. "Folks, we're hitting some unexpected turbulence. Stay seated." But Marcus knows, this isn't weather, not with that engine wail, not with the way the floor vibrates under his feet. His mind races, years of engineering kicking in, his hands itching to check the systems himself. He's flown this model 100 times, tested every gear, and this feels wrong, deliberate. Diana straightens, brushing a strand of hair from her sweaty forehead, and stomps toward him, her heels wobbling as the plane steadies for a moment. "You're bad luck," she snaps, her voice rising over the murmurs. "Shouldn't even be here." The words land like a punch, and the passengers shift, some nodding, others looking away, but no one speaks up. Marcus feels the weight of it, the same weight he's carried since he was 16, scrubbing floors while folks like her walked past without a glance. His jaw tightens, but he keeps his cool, letting her rant, letting her bury herself. "I paid for this seat," he says. Slow and firm, same as everyone else. She laughs, a sharp bark that echoes, and turns to a younger attendant hovering nearby, a skinny kid with a mop of brown curls. "Can you believe this?" she says, jerking her thumb at Marcus. The kid, Caleb, looks uneasy, his hands twisting a napkin, but he doesn't answer. The jet lurches again, a third time, and a scream rips through the cabin as a window shade slams shut on its own. Diana staggers, catching herself on a seatback, and her glare swings back to Marcus, her chest heaving. "This is your fault," she spits, her words venomous, nonsensical, but they stick. The passenger's eyes narrowing as if he's some curse they can't shake. Marcus leans forward, his voice low, cutting through the chaos. "You don't know what you're starting." She freezes, just for a second, her smirk twitching, but then she spins away, barking orders at Caleb to secure the galley. The plane groans, metal creaking under strain, and Marcus grips his armrest, his mind splitting between the racist clown in front of him and the gut-twisting certainty that something sabotaged this flight. He's been targeted before, competitors sniffing at his success, but this feels personal, raw, like hate distilled into action. His phone buzzes in his pocket, but he doesn't reach for it, not yet. The cabin's a pressure cooker, every eye on him or Diana, every jolt feeding the panic. She's back in the aisle now, fussing over the pinstripe suit guy, her tone syrupy. "You okay, sir?" While shooting Marcus a look that could melt steel. He meets it, unblinking, and lets a slow smile curl his lips, the kind that says he's already 3 moves ahead. The jet steadies, but the engines still whine, off-key, and he knows this isn't over. Diana's made her first mistake, thinking he's just some guy she can push around, but she's about to learn how deep this game goes. He's not just a passenger, he's the man who built this bird, and whatever's breaking it, whoever's behind it, they're about to crash into a wall they never saw coming. The air thickens, the lights flicker again, and Marcus settles back, ready for the fight he knows is brewing. Because if Diana thinks she's seen turbulence, she's got no clue what's waiting when he starts swinging back. Marcus Tate sits rigid in his first-class seat, the jet's engine still humming unevenly as the chaos from the last jolt lingers like smoke in the cabin. The pilot's voice crackles over the intercom, smooth and steady now. "Folks, we've sorted that engine glitch, just a hiccup, nothing to worry about." A ripple of relieved laughter spreads through the passengers, the woman in pearls unclenching her fists, the pinstripe suit guy loosening his tie with a shaky grin. Marcus forces a slow breath, his fingers uncurling from the armrests, but his eyes stay sharp, scanning the sleek interior of Horizon Airways' pride and joy. He's no fool. He's felt planes shudder before, logged hours in simulators back when he was wrenching his company from the ground up, and that wasn't turbulence or some random glitch. It was too jagged, too deliberate. His gut twists with the certainty that someone's tampered with his bird. But for now, the cabin settles, the light steadying to a warm glow. Across the aisle, Diana Kessler struts back into view, her red hair still fraying at the edges, her uniform wrinkled from the stumble she took earlier. She's got her smirk back, that tight-lipped curl that says she's already rewriting the story in her head, and she leans toward Caleb, the curly-haired attendant, her voice low, but not low enough. "That guy's bad luck," she mutters, jerking her chin at Marcus. "Shouldn't be here, stirring up trouble." Caleb shifts his weight, his brown eyes darting to Marcus then away, his hands fumbling with a stack of napkins like he's trying to disappear into them. Marcus catches every word, his jaw tightening, but he keeps his cool, letting her dig deeper, because every shovel of dirt she tosses is another nail he'll hammer later. She pivots, her heels clicking again, and starts her rounds, her demeanor flipping like a switch. She stops at James Holt, a white businessman in a navy blazer 2 rows up, all broad shoulders and slicked back silver hair, and her tone turns to honey. "Anything you need, sir?" She hands him a sparkling water, her smile wide and genuine, her fingers brushing his as she lingers just a beat too long. Then she swings past Marcus, her eyes skimming over him like he's a smudge on the window, and pauses, her tray of drinks hovering just out of his reach. "Want something?" she asks, her voice flat, no warmth, no offer, just a challenge wrapped in 3 words. Marcus leans forward, his elbows on his knees, and says, "Yeah, I'll take a bourbon." Neat. Her lips twitch, almost a sneer, but she can't refuse. Not with Holt watching now, his head tilted like he's curious. She pours it, slow and grudging, the amber liquid glugging into the glass, and shoves it toward him, a little sloshing over, the rim onto the tray table. He takes it, sipping once, the burn steadying his pulse, and says, "You're real good at this, aren't you?" She freezes, her hand hovering over the tray, and he adds, "Assuming things." Her nostrils flare, her face flushing pink, and the cabin's quiet enough that the couple with the champagne hear it, the husband stifling a cough. Diana's eyes dart around, landing on no one who'll back her up, and she mutters, "Enjoy your drink," before spinning away, her heels stabbing the carpet harder this time. Marcus sets the glass down, his mind racing, because he's won this round, forced her to serve him, forced her to choke on that apology she didn't mean. He's about to lean back, savor the small victory, when the PA crackles again, cutting through the murmur like a blade. A voice comes on, not the pilot's, not Caleb's, but something distorted, mechanical, like it's piped through a filter. "This flight's not landing safely." The words hit like a brick through a windshield, and the cabin explodes, the woman in pearls screaming, Holt spilling his water across his lap, the pinstripe guy yelling, "What the hell?" Marcus's glass slides off the table, shattering on the floor, the bourbon soaking into the carpet as his heart slams against his ribs. Passengers leap up, clawing at their seatbelts, a kid 3 rows back sobbing as his mom clutches him tight. Marcus stays seated, his hands gripping the armrests, his mind snapping into overdrive, because this isn't a prank, it's a threat, and it's aimed at him. He catches Diana's eye across the chaos, and she's not screaming, not panicking. She's staring right at him, her smirk gone but something darker flickering there, something that asks, "What did you do to deserve this?" He doesn't flinch, doesn't give her the satisfaction, but his pulse thunders as he pieces it together. The engine jolt, her hate, this voice. It's connected, it's personal, and it's racial. A knife aimed at his throat because he dared to rise too high. The pilot's voice cuts back in, frantic now. "Stay calm, we're checking it out." But the damage is done. The cabin's a madhouse, and Marcus knows he's not just fighting Diana anymore. He's fighting something bigger, something that wants him dead. Hey folks, how's this hitting you? Comment number 1 if you think Diana's already crossed a line she can't uncross, or number 2 if you'd have called her out right there. If you're raging at her nerve, smash that like button and subscribe to see how Marcus flips this mess upside down. Who's ready to see her crash and burn? Now here's the real kicker. What's behind that voice on the PA, and how's it tied to Marcus's empire? Stick around to find out if he's one step ahead or one breath from disaster. Marcus Tate grips the armrests of his first-class seat as the jet's cabin descends into pandemonium, the distorted PA threat still echoing in his ears like a gunshot that won't fade. The air grows thin, a sharp hiss slicing through the screams, as oxygen masks drop from the ceiling, yellow cups dangling like grim ornaments over every seat. Passengers claw at them, the woman in pearls sobbing as she fumbles hers onto her face, Holt yanking his down with a curse, his silver hair plastered with sweat. Marcus snags his mask, pulling it tight, his breath steady, but his eyes darting. Because he's not just fighting panic, he's hunting answers. The jet's altitude is dropping, the floor tilting under his feet, and he spots it, a panel near his window. It screws loose, a faint whiff of hydraulic fluid seeping out. He's no stranger to this. He spent years with his hands in engines, building Horizon Airways from scrap metal and sweat, and that's no accident. It's sabotage, cold and calculated. Before he can move, Diana Kessler storms down the aisle, her red hair a wild halo now, her uniform stained with spilled coffee from the last jolt. She's not helping, not calming anyone. She's beelining for him, her face twisted with a fury that's almost alive. "You did this!" she shrieks, her voice piercing the chaos, loud enough to turn every head that isn't already buried in a mask. Passengers gasp, the pinstripe suit guy nodding like he's been waiting for someone to blame, the kid's mom clutching her son tighter, her eyes wide with fear and agreement. Marcus stands, steady despite the tilting floor, and says, "Sit down, you're making it worse." But she's past reason, jabbing a finger into his chest, her chipped coral nails digging through his suit. "You don't belong here, and now we're all paying for it," she yells, and Caleb, the young attendant, rushes up, his curls bouncing, his hands raised to pull her back. She shoves him off, spinning to the crew. "He's the problem. Restrain him." The co-pilot, a burly guy with a buzz cut and a clenched jaw, hesitates, but Diana's venom tips the scale, and he lumbers over, zip ties dangling from his fist. Marcus doesn't fight. Not yet. He lets them grab. He lets them grab his wrists, the plastic biting into his skin as they cinch it tight, because he's watching her, clocking the smug grin that creeps back onto her lips as they drag him to a jump seat near the galley. Passengers jeer, a chorus of "Get him out" and "Should have known," rising over the jet's groans, and Marcus feels the weight of it. The same weight he's carried since he was a kid on the wrong side of town, judged before he could speak. They shove him down, his back slamming against the wall, and Diana looms. Over him, her breath hot and ragged. "Stay there, where you can't ruin anything else." He doesn't flinch, doesn't give her the fear she's fishing for, just locks eyes with her, his voice low. "You're gonna regret this." She laughs, a brittle sound that cracks under the strain, and turns away, barking at Caleb to secure the cabin. Marcus shifts, his bound hands brushing his briefcase, still tucked under the seat, and he nudges it open with his knee, a folded note slipping out, stark white against the black leather. He twists, snagging it with his fingers, and unfolds it, the words scrawled in jagged ink hitting him like a fist. "You don't belong at the top." His blood runs cold, because this isn't just Diana's hate. It's a message, a declaration, from someone who knows who he is, someone who's been waiting for this moment. The jet dives again, a stomach-lurching drop that sends screams ricocheting off the walls, the overhead bins popping open, spilling luggage into the aisle. A hard case slams into Caleb's shoulder, knocking him to the floor, and Diana stumbles, her smirk wiped clean as she grabs a railing, her face paling. Marcus feels the shift, the cabin pressure plummeting, the engines roaring now, not whining, and he knows they're not just off course, they're falling fast and hard. Passengers wail, Holt pounding his tray table shouting, "Do something!" while the woman in pearls rocks back and forth, her mask fogging with tears. Marcus twists his wrists, testing the zip ties, his mind racing, because he's not dying here. Not like this. Not at the hands of some racist puppet and her unseen string puller. The note crinkles in his fist, proof this is personal. Racial vengeance aimed at his neck, and he scans the cabin, every face a potential enemy, every shadow a threat. Diana's back at the galley now, her hands shaking as she fumbles with a radio, but she shoots him a look, that grin flickering back like she's still winning even as the jet spirals. The co-pilot hovers nearby, his buzz cut gleaming with sweat, muttering into his headset, "Mayday, Mayday." And Marcus catches a snippet, "System failure, unknown cause." Unknown to them maybe, but not to him. Not with that panel leaking. Not with that note burning in his hand. The floor bucks again, a violent pitch that slams Diana against the counter, her elbow cracking audibly, and she yelps, clutching it, as blood seeps through her sleeve. Marcus doesn't move, doesn't blink, just watches, because this is her chaos now, her mess, and he's the only one who sees the strings. The jet's nose dips further, the horizon tilting crazy outside the windows, and the passengers' screams blend into a single desperate howl, but Marcus stays silent, his mind a steel trap, locking onto one truth. Someone wants him gone, and they're willing to take this whole plane down to do it. His wrists ache, the zip ties cutting deeper, but he twists harder, because he's not just a passenger, he's the man who built this empire, and he'll be damned if he lets it crash. Because of hate he's fought his whole life to bury. The cabin lights flicker, plunging them into half-darkness, and Diana's eyes meet his again. Wild now, but still smug, still sure she's pinned the right guy. And Marcus lets a slow, cold smile spread across his face, because she's about to learn how wrong she is, and it's gonna hurt worse than that busted elbow. Marcus Tate sits strapped to the jump seat, the jet's cabin a howling mess of flickering lights and panicked breaths, the oxygen mask swaying like pendulums as the floor pitches beneath him. His wrists burn under the zip ties, the plastic cutting into his skin, but he's calm. His mind a razor slicing through the chaos because he's been in tighter spots than this, back when he was welding fuselages in a sweltering hangar, dreaming of the empire he'd one day own. The note still crumpled in his fist, "You don't belong at the top." A racist jab that fuels him now, and he spots his chance, a pen jutting from his briefcase, its tip glinting in the dim light. He stretches, his fingers brushing the cool metal, and snags it, twisting it against the ties until they snap with a quiet pop. His hands free, blood rushing back into them with a sting. The jet spiraling, the co-pilot's voice crackling over the radio. Pressure's dropping, we're losing control. And Marcus moves fast, lunging for that loose panel he clocked earlier, the one leaking fluid like a wound. Passengers scream, Holt pounding his fists on his tray, the woman in pearls rocking harder, her sobs muffled by her mask. But Marcus ignores them, his years as an engineer kicking in as he rips the panel open, exposing a tangle of wires and a severed hose, hydraulic fluid pooling black and slick on the floor. He grabs a napkin from Caleb's spilled stack, jamming it into the hose, then twists a loose clamp tight with the pen, his fingers slippery but sure, and the hiss slows. The cabin pressure steadying just enough to quiet the alarms. A ragged cheer erupts, the pinstripe suit guy clapping like it's a show, the kid's mom whispering, "Thank God." And Marcus stands, wiping his hands on his suit, the fabric smudged, but his posture unbroken. Diana staggers out of the galley, her elbow dripping red, her face a mask of fury as she clocks his free hands, the fixed panel. The crowds shift. "You're not supposed to be up," she snaps, her voice shrill, but the co-pilot waves her off. "He just saved us, back off." Marcus steps forward, towering over her now, and says, "Untie me, all the way." Her lips tremble, her eyes darting to the passengers who are watching, some nodding, others murmuring approval. And she fumbles with the spare ties on his ankles, her hands shaking as she cuts them loose. Her smug grin long gone. He straightens, rolling his shoulders, and pulls out his phone, the screen cracked but glowing, texting Lena Brooks, his COO, Diana Kessler, dig into her file now. He leans against the galley wall, catching his breath, the jet leveling. Out, the engines humming steadier, and thinks he's turned it around, forced her into a corner, shown them all he's no victim. Lena's reply buzzes back fast. 2 prior racism complaints buried by a senior exec digging deeper. Marcus nods to himself, his pulse slowing, because he's got her now. Proof she's not just a loudmouth, she's a pattern, and he's about to unravel it. The passengers settle, masks off, the kid sniffling quietly, Holt brushing water off his blazer, and Marcus feels the tide shift. Their eyes on him softer now, some even grateful. He's about to sit, let the victory sink in, when the jet shudders again. A low groan rippling through the frame, and the navigation screen up front flickers, then goes black, the pilot's voice cutting through. "Nav's fried, we're blind." The cabin lurches, a hard bank to the right, and lightning cracks outside, illuminating a roiling storm cloud swallowing the horizon whole. Passengers gasp, the woman in pearls screaming again, "We're gonna crash!" And Marcus grips the wall, his mind racing, because this isn't over, it's worse. They're hurtling into a tempest with no way to steer. Diana's back in. His face, her elbow still bleeding, her smirk creeping back like a weed, and she whispers, "Guess you're not so lucky, huh?" Her words drip with glee, and Marcus sees it now. She's not just a bystander, she's reveling in this, maybe even part of it, because that note, that sabotage, it's all too neat, too timed. The jet bucks again, rain slashing the windows, the wind howling like a beast, and the co-pilot yells, "Brace positions now!" As the floor tilts sharper, luggage sliding, a coffee pot smashing against the galley sink. Marcus steadies himself, his phone buzzing again, Lena's text flashing. Checking flight logs, something's off, but he can't read it fully. The screen blurring as the jet spins, the storm swallowing them whole. Passengers wail, Holt cursing the sky, the kid's mom praying loud, her voice trembling over the roar, and Marcus locks eyes with Diana, her grin widening as the lights flicker out, plunging them into darkness punctuated by lightning strobes. He's not done, not yet. He's clawed his way up from worse, built this airline from nothing. But this feels different, lethal. A trap tightening around him, and that note burns in his pocket. A promise of hate he can't shake. The jet's nose dips, the engine screaming now, not from power but strain, and Marcus braces against the wall, his mind splitting between the storm outside and the one in here. Because Diana's not just a racist, she's a cog in something bigger, and it's coming for him harder than he ever imagined. His hands clench, the pen still tucked in his fist, a lifeline he won't let go. Because he's not crashing. Not today. Not while she's gloating. Not while someone's betting on his fall. The storm roars louder, the jet shaking like it's tearing apart, and Marcus digs in, ready to fight. Because if they think he's done, they're dead wrong. And this flight's about to hit turbulence they can't fathom. Marcus Tate clings to the galley wall as the jet bucks through the storm, rain slashing the windows like 1,000 tiny knives, the cabin a strobe-lit nightmare of lightning and shadow. The navigation's gone, the pilot's voice a frantic buzz over the intercom. "Brace, brace, we're in the thick of it." And passengers huddle low, their masks dangling useless now, their screams swallowed by the wind's roar. Marcus steadies himself, his suit soaked with sweat, his cracked phone buzzing in his pocket. But he's not waiting for rescue. He's rallying, shouting over the chaos. "Everyone, tuck in tight. We'll ride this out." His voice cuts through, deep and commanding, and the woman in pearls nods, pulling her son close. Holt curling over his knees, even the pinstripe suit guy listening for once. Lightning cracks again, illuminating the jet's wing as it flexes against the gale. And Marcus feels the floor shudder, his engineer's brain clocking every groan, every strain, knowing they're seconds from disaster if he doesn't act. Caleb, the young attendant, stumbles toward him, his curls plastered to his forehead, his uniform torn at the shoulder from that luggage hit, and he slips Marcus a folded napkin, his hands trembling as he whispers, "Diana's not alone. Watch your back." Marcus snatches it, unfolding it fast, the ink smudged but clear. She's got help on board, and his gut twists. Because this isn't just sabotage, it's a setup, and he's the bullseye. Before he can ask, James Holt, the silver-haired businessman, lurches up from his seat, his blazer flapping, his face red and wild, and pulls a badge from his pocket, flashing it like a gun. "Air security. This man's a threat." The badge glints, a cheap knockoff. Marcus clocks instantly, but Holt's voice booms. "He's sabotaging the flight. I saw him tampering." Passengers gasp, the kid's mom shrinking back, the pinstripe guy yelling, "Get him!" And Diana's, right there, her elbow still bleeding, her grin feral as she jumps in. "He's dangerous. Lock him up." Marcus steps forward. That's a lie. Check his ID. But the crowd's past reason, their fear flipping to rage, and Holt charges, his meaty fists swinging, slamming Marcus against the galley counter, a sharp pain exploding in his ribs. The co-pilot hesitates, his buzz cut slick with sweat, but Diana shrieks, "Do it! He's killing us!" and the passengers surge, a mob fueled by her venom, grabbing at Marcus's arms, his legs, dragging him toward the galley closet. He fights back, elbowing Holt in the jaw, a satisfying crunch under his knuckles. But there's too many. Hands clawing, voices cursing. "Shouldn't be here." And "Take him down," echoing Diana's hate. They shove him into the closet, a cramped box of shelves and carts, and Holt lands a boot in his gut, the air rushing out of him as the door slams shut, the lock clicking with a final snap. Marcus gasps, slumped against a stack of trays, his ribs throbbing, his suit torn at the sleeve, and he hears Diana outside, her voice smug. "Told you he didn't belong." The jet lurches again, a sickening drop that slams him into the wall, trays crashing around him, and he knows they're not just locking him up, they're betting he'll die in here if this thing goes down. His phone buzzes again, and he fumbles it out, the screen flickering as Lena's text glows. Holt's ex-cop, dishonorably discharged, ties to a hate group. Be careful. Marcus's blood runs hot, because this isn't random. It's coordinated. Holt's fake badge, Diana's glee, that note. It's a racist hit squad on his own damn plane. He bangs the door. "You're wrong about me." But the storm drowns him out, the wind howling louder, the jet tilting sharper, and he hears Holt barking orders. "Secure the cabin, he's contained." While Diana laughs, a high, brittle sound that cuts deeper than the bruises blooming across his chest. Marcus steadies his breathing, his hands probing the closet, finding a loose shelf bolt, a weapon if he needs it, because he's not done, not by a long shot. He's built empires from less than this, faced hate that'd break most men, and he'll be damned if he lets these clowns bury him now. The jet groans, metal screeching as lightning strikes close, a deafening boom shaking the frame, and Marcus grips the bolt tighter, his mind racing, because Caleb's note means there's more coming, more betrayal, and he's got to get out before it hits. Folks, how's this twisting your gut? Comment number 1 if you think Marcus should have seen Holt coming, or number 2 if Diana's the real snake here pulling strings. If you're boiling at this betrayal, smash that like button and subscribe to catch every punch Marcus throws back. Can you feel the storm brewing bigger than the one outside? Here's the hook for next time. Who's Holt really working for, and how deep does this hate run to crash Marcus's world? Stick with us to see if he breaks free or breaks everything. Marcus Tate slumps in the galley closet, the jet's storm-rattled frame groaning around him, the air thick with the tang of spilled coffee and his own sweat as he clutches the shelf bolt, his ribs pulsing with every shallow breath. The closet's a cage, shelves digging into his back, carts pinning his legs. But he's not breaking. Not yet. His mind churning through years of scrapping his way up, turning hate into fuel to build Horizon Airways brick by brick. Lightning flashes through a crack in the door, strobing the dark, and he hears the passengers outside, their panic simmering down to murmurs. Holt's gruff voice barking, "Stay seated, we've got it handled," while Diana's heels click closer, her smug tone cutting through. He's where he belongs now. Marcus grits his teeth, his fingers tightening on the bolt, and spots a fire extinguisher strapped to the wall, its nozzle loose, a lifeline in this coffin of a room. He wedges the bolt under the strap, prying it free, the metal clanking softly as it hits the floor and grips the extinguisher, his hand steady despite the ache in his chest. The jet bucks again, a hard jolt that slams a cart into his shin, but he uses the chaos, swinging the extinguisher at the door's lock, a dull thud echoing as it dents, then cracks open on the second hit, the latch snapping loose. He bursts out, extinguisher still in hand, and Holt's right there, his silver hair wild, his fake badge gleaming. But Marcus doesn't hesitate, slamming the canister into Holt's temple, a wet crunch as the man crumples, his blazer flapping like a fallen flag. Passengers gasp, the woman in pearls clutching her son, the pinstripe suit guy gaping, and Marcus tosses the extinguisher aside, his voice booming. "That badge is fake, he's no security." The crowd shifts, murmurs rippling, and he grabs Holt's wallet from his pocket, flipping it open to reveal no ID, just a crumpled photo of a swastika tattoo, proof enough for now. Diana staggers back, her elbow crusted with dried blood, her face paling as she stammers, "You're lying, he's legit." But Caleb steps up, his curls matted, his voice shaky but firm. "She's full of it. I've heard her ranting about people like him for weeks." Marcus locks eyes with the kid, nodding, and turns to the passengers. "She pushed him to frame me, you saw it." The tide flips fast, the kid's mom glaring at Diana. "You're awful." And Holt groaning on the floor, clutching his head as the pinstripe guy kicks his leg. "Liar!" Marcus wipes sweat from his brow, his suit torn but his stance unbroken, and pulls his phone, texting Lena, "Ground this jet, nearest strip, now." The co-pilot's back, his buzz cut dripping, nodding at Marcus. "You're right, he's out." And radios the tower. "Emergency landing, airstrip, 12 miles. Out." Marcus thinks he's cracked it. Exposed Holt, turned the mob, got the jet rerouted, his ribs aching but his spirit soaring, because he's not just surviving, he's winning, showing them all he's no pushover. The jet steadies, the storm easing, as rain streaks the windows and Lena texts back, "Strip secured, security on standby." Her words a lifeline he clings to. Passengers settle, some eyeing him with awe, others shame, and Diana's cornered, her smirk gone, her hands twitching like she's lost the script. The wheels screech as they hit the tarmac, a rough but solid landing, and Marcus exhales, thinking, he's safe, his empire intact, until the cabin door bangs open and armed men in black swarm aboard, their boots pounding, their voices sharp. "Where's Tate?" Marcus freezes, his phone slipping in his grip, and Diana's grin creeps back, slow and wicked, as she leans toward one of them, whispering, "That's him. Take him out." The men charge, their rifles glinting, dragging Marcus from the galley, his arms pinned as passengers scream, Caleb yelling, "No, he's innocent!" But they don't stop, hauling him into the night, the airstrip's floodlights blinding as Diana watches, her laugh low and triumphant. Marcus twists, his ribs screaming, and catches her eye, her words hissing through the chaos. "Told them you're a threat. Guess they believed me." The men slam him against a hangar wall, zip ties snapping back onto his wrists, tighter this time, cutting fresh welts, and he realizes she's not just a pawn, she's a player, tipping off someone bigger, someone who wants him gone for good. The jet's engines wind down behind him, passengers spilling out, some shouting for help, but the men in black don't flinch, their leader barking, "Move him now!" And Marcus is shoved toward a shadowed corner, the airstrip sprawling cold and empty under a Texas sky. His phone buzzes one last time. Lena's text flashing, "Security's delayed, hold on." But it's too late. He's in their grip, Diana's betrayal a knife twisting deeper, because this isn't over. It's a new trap, bigger, meaner, and he's got seconds to figure it out before they bury him for real. The hangar looms, its steel doors creaking open, and Marcus digs his heels in, his mind racing, because he's beaten Holt, outsmarted Diana once, and he'll be damned if he lets her win now. Not when his empire's on the line, not when hate's this close to breaking him. Marcus Tate hits the hangar floor hard, his knees slamming into cold concrete as the armed men in black shove him down, their rifles trained on his skull, the zip ties slicing deeper into his wrists, until he feels the warm trickle of blood pooling in his palms. The airstrip's floodlights cast harsh beams through the open hangar doors, painting jagged shadows across the steel walls, and the jet's whine fades behind him, replaced by the thud of boots and the low growl of a voice he doesn't know yet. A hulking figure steps into view, Victor Grayson, broad as a linebacker, his buzzed head gleaming under the lights, his camo jacket stretched tight over scarred knuckles, a sneer curling his lip as he towers over Marcus. "You don't own nothing, boy," he spits, his voice gravelly, thick with contempt. And Marcus clocks the insignia on his sleeve, a faded military patch, the kind worn by men who've seen blood and liked it. Diana hovers behind him, her red hair a tangled mess, her elbow crusted with scabs, her grin wide and vicious as she leans against a crate, arms crossed like she's watching a prize fight she's already rigged. Grayson kneels, his breath sour, with tobacco, and grabs Marcus's jaw, forcing his head up. "Been watching you climb, thinking you're better than us, but I've been cutting your strings for months." Marcus's mind races, his ribs throbbing from Holt's kicks, his suit shredded at the shoulder, and he pieces it together. The engine glitch, the nav failure, the note. This isn't just Diana's petty hate. It's a campaign, a racist vendetta to rip his empire apart. Grayson nods to his crew, 6 men in tactical gear, their faces blank but their eyes burning, and they fan out, dragging chainsaws and crowbars from a duffel, heading for the jet still parked on the tarmac. Metal screeches as they tear into it, sparks flying as they rip panels off the wings, slash the tires, the Horizon Airways logo buckling under their blades, and Marcus feels each blow like a punch to his gut, his life's work shredded in front of him. Diana steps closer, her heels clicking, and whispers, "Look at your precious plane now, poor boy." Her voice dripping with glee, and Marcus lunges, his bound hands swinging, but Grayson's fist slams into his temple, a blinding crack that drops him back to the floor, stars exploding behind his eyes. His phone buzzes in his pocket, unreachable, and Grayson pulls a tablet from his jacket, flicking it on to show a live feed, Horizon Airways stock ticker plunging, red numbers flashing as the market tanks. "Hacked it myself," he brags. "Your little kingdom's dust." Marcus's breath catches, his vision swimming, because this isn't just a beating, it's annihilation. Every dollar he's earned, every dream he's built, crashing down in real time. The hangar echoes with the jet's destruction, passengers spilling out onto the airstrip, some shouting, others fleeing, but no one's coming, the security Lena promised nowhere in sight. Grayson kicks him again, a steel-toed boot to the ribs, and Marcus coughs, blood flecking his lips, his hands scrabbling against the concrete, finding nothing but grit. Diana laughs, a sharp cackle that bounces off the walls. "Should have stayed where you belong." And Marcus feels the weight of it, the hate he's faced since he was a kid selling newspapers on corners, now a tidal wave drowning him whole. His phone buzzes again, insistent, and he twists, glimpsing the screen through his torn pocket, Lena's text glowing. "HQ's under attack." His heart stops, because it's not just the jet, not just the stock, it's everything. His Dallas office, his staff, his legacy, all burning while he's helpless, beaten bloody on this freezing floor. Grayson looms over him, cracking his knuckles. "Thought you could play in our world, but you're nothing, never were." And his crew drags the jet's cockpit door into the hangar, smashing it with a sledgehammer, glass shattering like confetti over Marcus's sprawled form. Diana kneels beside him, her face inches from his. "This is what happens when you forget your place." And her eyes gleam, wild and unhinged, as she nods to Grayson, who pulls a knife, its blade catching the floodlights. A promise of worse to come. Marcus's hands claw the floor, his body screaming, but his mind locks onto Lena's text, "HQ under attack," and he knows this isn't random. It's a coordinated strike, a racist war to erase him from the top. The hangar spins, the jet's wreckage a twisted heap outside, passengers' cries fading as Grayson's men block the doors, and Marcus feels the lowest he's ever been. No plane, no company, no fight left, just blood and concrete, and hate closing in. His phone slips free, skittering across the floor. Lena's next text flashing, "Hold on, we're fighting back." But it's too far. Grayson's boot crushing it underfoot, the screen splintering into black, and Marcus stares up at Diana, her grin a death mask as Grayson's knife hovers, the cold steel brushing his throat. The world narrows, the hangar's hum deafening, and Marcus digs deep, his spirit flickering, because he's lost it all, but he's not dead yet, and that's enough to keep him breathing, enough to plan, because this isn't the end, it's the bottom, and he's climbed from worse. Marcus Tate lies sprawled on the hangar's concrete floor, his blood smearing the grit as Grayson's knife grazes his throat, the cold steel a whisper of death against his skin. Diana's gloating laugh ringing in his ears like a siren he can't shut off. The jet's wreckage smolders outside, its twisted frame a graveyard of his dreams, and the floodlights cast Grayson's shadow over him, a hulking specter of hate ready to carve him out of existence. His ribs scream, his wrists bleed under the zip ties, but his eyes catch a glint, a loose nail jutting from a crate, its rusty tip a lifeline in the dark. He rolls, pain spiking through his chest, and snags it, his fingers trembling as he saws. At the ties, the plastic fraying, then snapping free with a quiet crack, his hands shaking but alive. Grayson's mid-taunt. Time to end this, when Marcus lunges, grabbing a wrench from a spilled toolbox, its weight solid in his grip, and swings it hard, the metal cracking against Grayson's skull, a dull thud that drops the giant to his knees, his knife clattering away. Marcus staggers up, his suit a tattered rag, and kicks the blade under a pallet, his breath ragged but fierce because he's not done. Not yet. He's clawed from deeper pits than this. Diana shrieks, "You can't!" Her voice a wild screech, but Marcus ignores her, snatching Grayson's radio from his belt, its static buzzing as he barks into it. "Lena, lock down HQ now." Her voice crackles back, sharp and urgent. "On it. Rerouting security. Stocks stabilizing." Marcus exhales, his legs wobbling, because he's bought time, turned the tide, and he pivots, facing the hangar doors as passengers from the jet burst in, led by Caleb, his arm cradling his bruised shoulder, his curls wild as he shouts, "He's not the enemy!" The crowd surges, the woman in pearls clutching her son, the pinstripe suit guy wielding a broken chair leg, and they charge Grayson's crew, a chaotic wave of fists and yells that sends the men in black scrambling, their rifles dropping as they flee into the night. Marcus leans on a crate, his chest heaving, and watches Diana backpedal, her heels skidding, her grin gone, her eyes darting like a trapped animal's. The passengers swarm her, the kid's mom spitting, "You set him. Up." And Caleb nodding. "She's been plotting this whole flight." Marcus straightens, his wrench still dripping with Grayson's blood, and thinks he's won. The jet's safe, HQ's holding, the mob's on his side, his empire teetering but intact. He wipes his face, the sting of sweat mixing with the coppery taste of his own blood, and the airstrip's chaos settles. The jet's wreckage a silent witness to his fight. Lena's next call crackles through the radio. "Security's here, stocks climbing, we're good." And Marcus nods, his spirit lifting, because he's beaten them, turned their hate into his hammer, and he's still standing, still the king of this game. The passengers cheer, some patting his back, others glaring at Diana as she cowers, her hands raised like she's begging now, and Marcus feels the rush, the sweet burn of victory, because he's not just a survivor, he's a force, and they've underestimated him for the last time. Then Grayson stirs, a low groan rumbling from his throat, and Marcus spins, wrench raised, but the man's faster, his hand yanking a pistol from his boot, the barrel flashing as a shot rings out, slamming into Caleb's leg, the kid collapsing with a scream, blood pooling fast on the concrete. Grayson lurches up, his skull bleeding, his eyes wild, and roars, "This ain't over, Tate!" Sirens wail in the distance, red and blue lights pulsing through the hangar doors. But Grayson's crew regroups, their vans roaring to life outside, and Marcus dives for Caleb, shielding him as tires screech, the men in black peeling out. The passengers scatter, the woman in pearls sobbing again, and Marcus presses his torn sleeve to Caleb's wound, his hands slick with the kid's blood, his victory crumbling as Grayson's voice echoes, "We'll bury you yet." The hangar trembles, the jet's wreckage catching a stray spark, flames licking up its side, and Marcus looks up, the airstrip swarming with new shadows, a militia in mismatched gear rolling in, their trucks grinding gravel, their shouts sharp with hate. He's surrounded, Caleb bleeding out, his wrench useless now, and Diana's laugh cuts through again, low and vicious. "You thought you'd win?" Marcus grits his teeth, his empire hanging by a thread, because this isn't a win. It's a trap snapping shut, and he's got nothing left but the will to fight. Hey folks, how's this hitting you right now? Comment number 1, if you're cheering Marcus's comeback, or number 2, if Grayson's got you worried he's too tough to beat. If you're feeling the heat of this fight, smash that like button and subscribe to see how Marcus battles back from the brink. Who's standing with him against this hate? Now, buckle up for what's next. Can Marcus outsmart a militia with Caleb down, or is this the end of his empire's runway? Stay tuned to find out if he rises or falls. Marcus Tate kneels on the hangar floor, his hands pressing his torn sleeve against Caleb's bleeding leg. The kid's gasps sharp and ragged as gunfire erupts outside, the militia's bullets pinging off the steel walls like hail on a tin roof. The jet's wreckage burns on the airstrip, flames licking high into the Texas night, casting an orange glow through the open doors, and the passengers scatter. The woman in pearls dragging her son behind a crate, the pinstripe suit guy diving under a bench as militia trucks roar closer, their headlights slicing the dark. Marcus's ribs throb, his wrists raw from the zip ties he's shed, but he holds Caleb steady, whispering, "Hang on, kid. I've got you." His voice a lifeline in the chaos. The militia storms in, a dozen men in patched camo, their faces smeared with grease, their rifles spitting fire as they fan out, shouting, "Tate's ours!" Diana slips through the shadows, her red hair glinting as she sidles up to Grayson, her grin twisted, and hands him a knife, its blade dull but wicked, her voice a hiss. "Finish him!" Grayson lumbers forward, his skull still bleeding from the wrench, his pistol holstered now, the knife gleaming in his fist as he snarls, "Time's up, boy!" Marcus shields Caleb, shoving him behind a stack of barrels, and feels a bullet graze his arm, a hot sting tearing through his bicep, blood soaking his shredded suit as he staggers back, his vision blurring. Lena's voice crackles over the stolen radio in his pocket. "Feds are coming. Hold on." But it's faint, drowned by the militia's war cries, their boots pounding as they close in, a wall of hate with Marcus in its crosshairs. Grayson swings the knife, a wild arc that catches Marcus's shoulder, slicing shallow but sharp, and Marcus stumbles, his knees buckling as he grabs a broken pipe from the floor, swinging it hard, the metal clanging against Grayson's arm, forcing him back. The hangar shakes, a militia truck ramming the jet's remains, metal screeching as it crumples further, and Grayson laughs, a guttural roar. "You're done, Tate, we've rigged this bird to blow." Marcus's eyes dart to the jet, spotting a blinking red light under the fuselage, a timer ticking down from 5 minutes, its glow a death knell in the flickering firelight. Passengers scream, the kid's mom wailing, "We're all dead," and Marcus's heart hammers, because this isn't just about him anymore, it's mass murder, a racist purge to frame him as the monster. His arm burns, blood dripping fast, and he drags Caleb further back, the kid's leg leaving a crimson trail, his face pale as he mutters, "Sorry, boss." But Marcus shakes his head. "Not your fault, stay with me." The militia tightens, the net, their gunfire shredding crates, splinters flying as bullets whiz past Marcus's ear, one nicking his cheek, a hot line of pain he barely feels through the adrenaline. Grayson charges again, knife raised, and Marcus rolls, pipe in hand, smashing it into Grayson's knee, a crack that drops him howling. But the man's crew hauls him up, their rifles trained as Diana shrieks, "Kill him now!" Marcus's vision swims, blood loss dragging him down, but he spots a fuel truck parked near the hangar's edge, its tank glinting silver, a desperate plan sparking in his mind. He staggers to his feet, Caleb's weight heavy against him, and whispers, "We're getting out, because he's not letting this kid die, not letting these bastards win, not after everything he's built." The timer's at 3 minutes, the jet's fire spreading, licking at the wings, and the militia closes in, their shouts a chorus of slurs, "You don't belong," and "End of the line," ringing in his ears. Marcus drags Caleb toward the truck, his legs like lead, his arms screaming, and Grayson limps after, knife slashing air, his face a mask of rage. "I'll carve you myself." The hangar's a war zone, smoke choking the air, the passengers' cries fading as they huddle, helpless. And Marcus reaches the truck, his bloody hand slipping on the door handle, popping it open as bullets pepper the steel. He shoves Caleb inside, the kid groaning, and climbs in, his head spinning, the keys dangling in the ignition, a miracle he doesn't question. The timer hits 2 minutes, the jet's blaze roaring now, and Marcus grips the wheel, his plan raw and reckless. Ram the truck into the militia, buy time for the feds, save Caleb, save them all. Grayson's crew surrounds him, rifles raised, Diana's laugh a banshee wail over the gunfire, and Marcus floors it, the engine roaring to life, his body breaking, his spirit steel, because he's got nothing left but this, one last shot to turn hate into dust. The truck lurches, tires squealing, and Marcus braces, blood dripping onto the dash, because if he's going down, he's taking them with him, and this fight's not over until he says it is. Marcus Tate floors the fuel truck's gas pedal, the engine roaring as it surges forward. Caleb slumped against the passenger seat, his leg oozing blood onto the floor mat, his breath shallow but stubborn as he clings to life. The hangar blurs, past, the malicious trucks looming ahead, their camo-clad figures scrambling as Marcus aims straight for them, his bloody hands slick on the wheel, his bicep throbbing where the bullet grazed him, his shoulder stinging from Grayson's knife. The jet's timer ticks down, 90 seconds glowing red through the smoke, its fire raging on the airstrip, and Marcus grits his teeth, his vision tunneling as he rams the truck into the nearest militia van, metal crunching, glass shattering, the impact jolting his ribs so hard he tastes copper in his throat. The van spins, flipping onto its side, pinning 2 gunmen beneath it, their screams swallowed by the chaos as the others scatter, their rifles spitting bullets that ping off. The truck's chassis, one cracking the windshield into a spiderweb of fractures. Marcus ducks, shielding Caleb, and swerves, clipping another van, its grille crumpling as it skids into a ditch, the militia's line breaking under his reckless charge. Sirens wail closer now, red and blue lights flashing through the hangar. Doors and feds swarm in, black SUVs screeching to a halt, agents leaping out with rifles raised, shouting, "Drop your weapons!" Grayson staggers up, his knee buckling from Marcus's pipe hit, his skull still bleeding. But he fires wild shots, one grazing an agent's vest as the feds return fire, pinning him behind a crate. Marcus slams the brakes, the truck skidding, to a stop near the jet, 30 seconds on the timer, and he stumbles out, dragging Caleb with him, his legs like jelly, but his mind razor sharp. He spots the bomb's wiring under the fuselage, a mess of cables and a blinking box, and drops to his knees, his bloody fingers fumbling as he yanks a panel loose, years of engineering kicking in despite the haze of pain. The feds swarm the militia, handcuffs snapping onto wrists, Grayson tackled as he swings his knife, and Marcus finds the detonator wire, a thin green thread, ripping it free with a grunt, just as the timer hits 3 seconds, the red light dying, the jet's fire hissing but no explosion tearing them apart. He collapses, his back against the jet's scorched wheel, Caleb beside him, the kid's eyes fluttering as Marcus presses harder on his leg. "Stay with me. We made it." The militia's down, half in cuffs, the rest fleeing into the night, and Diana's cornered by the hangar wall, her hands raised, her scream a mix of rage and panic. This isn't how it ends. Agents swarm her, pinning her arms, her heels, kicking as she's dragged away, her red hair a wild tangle against their black gear. Marcus exhales, his body shaking, blood dripping from his arm, his cheek, his spirit soaring because he's beaten them, stopped the bomb, saved the jet, saved Caleb, turned hate into a weapon they couldn't wield. The passengers creep out, the woman in pearls sobbing thanks, the pinstripe suit guy clapping his shoulder, and Marcus thinks it's over, his empire battered but breathing, Grayson in cuffs, Diana done. An agent kneels beside him, a wiry guy with a buzz cut, his voice low. "Good work, but this goes higher." And Marcus's gut twists, his brief triumph souring as the man nods toward the horizon. "We're digging, stay sharp." Lena's voice crackles through the radio. "Marcus, you there? Board member just locked us out of HQ, stock spiking, but we're screwed." He freezes, his hand on Caleb's leg, because it's not over. It's bigger, systemic, a coup from within, his own ranks. The agent helps Caleb up, medics rushing in with a stretcher, and Marcus stands, his knees buckling, as a news chopper buzzes overhead, its spotlight blinding, a voice booming. "Horizon CEO framed by execs." The feds haul Grayson away, his curses fading, but Lena's panic cuts deeper. "Charles Vance, he's taken over, we're locked out." Marcus's fists clench, blood crusting his knuckles, because he's stopped the bomb, broken the militia, but his airline slipping, through his fingers, snatched by a traitor in a suit, not a thug with a knife. The jet's fire sputters, the airstrip a battlefield of wreckage and flashing lights, and Marcus leans on the truck, his body wrecked, his mind racing, because this victory's hollow, a setup for a bigger fall, and he's got no time to bleed, no time to rest. The medics load Caleb, the kid giving a weak thumbs up, and Marcus nods back, his jaw tight, because he's saved lives tonight. But his empire's under siege, and the real war's just begun. The chopper's blades thrum, the newsfeed live, and Marcus stares into the dark. Charles Vance's name a new blade at his throat, sharper than Grayson's, because this isn't a thug he can smash, it's a kingpin he's got to outsmart, and he's running on fumes. Marcus Tate staggers from the airstrip, his blood-soaked suit clinging to his battered frame. The jet's smoldering wreckage fading behind him as medics wheel Caleb away, the kid's weak grin a flicker of hope in the Texas night. His arm throbs. Where the bullet grazed him, his shoulder stings from Grayson's knife. But he's moving, fueled by Lena's panicked radio call. "Charles Vance has locked us out of HQ." The feds swarm the hangar, their lights pulsing red and blue. Grayson's curses muffled as he's shoved into a van. But Marcus's fight's not here anymore. It's in Dallas where his empire's bleeding out. He flags a Fed SUV, the wiry agent with the buzz cut nodding as Marcus climbs in. Horizon HQ now. His voice hoarse but iron, and the vehicle peels out, tires screaming on gravel as the news chopper thumps overhead, its spotlight tracking them through the dark. The drive's a blur, his ribs aching with every bump, his mind racing. Charles Vance, a board member he's trusted for years, a silver spoon suit with a handshake like oil, now a traitor stealing his airline from under him. The SUV screeches to a halt outside Horizon's glass tower, its lights blazing against the skyline, and Marcus bursts out, Lena meeting him at the doors, her braids tight, her eyes wild. "Vance barred us. Change the codes. He's inside with Diana." Marcus's gut twists because Diana's not done. She's slithered from the airstrip to the top floor, her hate a venom that won't quit. He storms in, loyal staff rallying behind him, a janitor with a mop handle, a security guard named Ty, with a flashlight, their faces set as Lena hands him a USB. Recordings from the jet, every word she said. The lobby's chaos, employees shouting, alarms blaring as Vance's hired muscle blocks the elevators, but Marcus barrels through, Ty slamming a guard into a planter, the pot shattering as they clear a path. The elevator ride's a heartbeat, his blood crusting on his knuckles, and it dings open to the executive floor, a sleek expanse of marble and glass where Charles Vance waits. A gaunt man in a three-piece suit, his gray hair slicked back, his smirk cold as he stands by the boardroom table, Diana beside him, her red hair smoothed now, her uniform swapped for a blazer, her grin smug as ever. "You're done, Tate," Vance drawls, his voice smooth poison. "Minorities don't run airlines, not on my watch." Marcus steps forward, his boots leaving bloody prints. "This is my company." And Vance laughs. "Was, until I took it." The room's tense, board members hovering, some loyal, some wavering, and Diana chimes in. "He's a fraud, always was," her eyes glinting with triumph. Marcus pulls the USB, slamming it into a laptop on the table, and hits play. Diana's voice spilling out. "People like you don't fly first." Poor boy. Every racist rant from the flight crackling through the speakers, Grayson's threats layered in from the radio, a damning symphony that turns the boardroom silent. He streams it live, his phone syncing to Horizon's shareholder feed, the ticker spiking as investors hear the truth, their gasps audible through the glass walls as stocks soar, Vance's allies blanching, their phones buzzing with panic. "You buried her complaints," Marcus says, his voice low, lethal. "Let her run wild, thought you'd erase me." And Vance's smirk falters, his hands twitching as he snaps. "This changes nothing." Diana lunges, snatching a letter opener from the table, its silver blade flashing as she swings at Marcus, her scream a banshee wail. "You'll never win!" He dodges, the blade slicing air, and grabs her wrist, twisting hard, the opener clattering, to the floor as he pins her against the table, her thrashing useless under his grip. The board erupts, loyalists shouting, "Enough!" and Vance's cronies bolting for the door. But feds flood in, their boots stomping, the wiry agent barking. "Charles Vance, you're under arrest." Handcuffs snap onto Vance's wrists, his suit crumpling as he's dragged out, his glare venomous. "This isn't over, Tate." Marcus releases Diana, her sobs choking as agents cuff her too, her heels dragging on the marble, her fight snuffed out. The room stills, Lena grinning, Ty clapping his back, and Marcus stands tall, his empire shaky but his, the shareholders' cheers echoing through the feed. He pulls his phone, a text buzzing in. "You'll pay for this." No sender, just menace, and his jaw tightens, because Vance is down, Diana's done, but something's still out there, a shadow he can't see. The boardroom's glass reflects his battered face, blood and grit, but his eyes burn, because he's reclaimed his throne, beaten hate with truth, and he's not stopping now, not when the war's got one last twist. Marcus Tate stands in Horizon Airways' executive boardroom, his battered frame silhouetted against the Dallas skyline, the glass walls reflecting a city buzzing with dawn as he adjusts his torn suit, blood crusting his knuckles, his arms still, throbbing from the bullet graze that's now bandaged tight. The room's quiet, Vance's chair empty, Diana's venomous glare a memory as feds haul her out, her sobs fading down the hall, and Lena hovers nearby, her braids swinging as she taps a tablet. Stocks up, shareholders love you, we're solid. Marcus nods, his ribs aching but his spirit steel, and steps toward the podium for a press conference. The boardroom transformed with cameras rolling, reporters perched like hawks, their mics thrust forward as he clears his throat, his voice, deep and steady. Today we root out hate. Horizon stands for fairness. No one's above that. The crowd erupts, applause thundering, flashes popping as shareholders beam through video screens, their cheers a lifeline after the night's war, and Marcus feels it. A win hard fought, his empire scarred but standing, a testament to every battle he's clawed through since he was a kid with nothing but grit. He lays out reforms. New training, zero tolerance, we rebuild trust. And the room nods. Ty, the security guard, grinning from the back, the janitor leaning on his mop, proud to be part of this. Marcus exhales, his shoulder stinging where Grayson's knife bit, but he's upright, unbroken. The man who turned a racist plot into a rallying cry, and he thinks it's done. The storm passed, his throne secure. He wraps up, we move forward, stronger, and steps off, reporters clamoring. But Lena guides him out, her hand firm on his elbow. You need rest, boss. And he nods, his legs heavy as they hit the lobby, the glass doors sliding open to a cool morning breeze. A black limo idles at the curb, its tinted windows gleaming, and Marcus pauses, his gut twitching because something's off, the air too still after a night of chaos. The door swings open, and Grayson climbs out, his skull bandaged, his camo jacket swapped for a prison jumpsuit, but he's free, smirking. Bail's a beautiful thing. And Marcus tenses, his fists clenching, ready to swing, until a second figure emerges, tall and wiry, his gray hair thinning, his suit wrinkled but sharp. Harold Tate, Marcus's estranged uncle, a silent partner who bankrolled Horizon's early days before vanishing into shadows. Harold's eyes narrow, his voice a rasp. Family doesn't mean loyalty, boy. And Marcus freezes, his breath catching, because this is the man who taught him cards as a kid, who slipped him cash when his mom couldn't pay rent, now staring him down like a stranger. Harold steps closer, his cane tapping the pavement. I funded this airline, watched you rise, but you got too big, forgot where you came from. And Grayson chuckles, leaning against the limo. He's been my bankroll. Wanted you gone. Marcus's mind reels, the jet sabotage, the stock hack, Diana's venom, all threads tying back to Harold, a racist ghost from his own bloodline, a betrayal sharper than any knife. You, Marcus growls, his voice breaking. You let them frame me, crash my plane for what? Harold's smirk twists. Power's not for people like us, not the way you flaunt it, I'll take it all back. The limo's engine hums, Grayson sliding in and Harold follows, his cane vanishing as the door slams, the car peeling out with a screech, leaving Marcus rooted, his empire's foundation cracking under this final blow. Lena grabs his arm. We'll fight this. But Marcus stares after the taillights, his phone buzzing with that anonymous text from before. You'll pay for this, now signed with Harold's initials, a promise etched in hate. The press swarm behind him, oblivious. Their questions a dull roar, and Marcus turns, his jaw tight. Because he's beaten Diana, broken Grayson, toppled Vance. But this is different. Personal. A war with his own kin. A man who knows every move he's ever made. The skyline glows, Horizon's tower a beacon he's bled for, and he feels the weight, not just of the night but of a lifetime fighting to prove he belongs, now facing a foe who taught him how to stand. His arm throbs, his ribs ache, but his eyes harden because he's not done, not while Harold's out there, not while his airline's at stake. The limo vanishes into traffic, a black speck in the dawn, and Marcus digs in, his spirit a furnace, because this fight's not over, it's just begun, and blood ties won't stop him from burning this betrayal to ash. Marcus Tate's relentless battle in this story unveils raw truths about resilience, identity, and the fight against systemic hate. First, it shows that prejudice doesn't just sting, it can escalate into life-threatening sabotage when unchecked, as Diana's casual racism spiraled into a conspiracy to destroy Marcus's empire. His journey teaches us that power doesn't shield you from bias. It often amplifies the target on your back, especially when you defy expectations of who belongs at the top. Marcus's grit, outsmarting a jet sabotage, a militia, and a boardroom coup proves that inner strength trumps external hate every time, but only if you refuse to break. The betrayal by his uncle Harold drives home a brutal lesson. Enemies can wear familiar faces, and trust can be a weapon turned against you. Yet, Marcus's refusal to let racism define his worth, even as his airline teetered, highlights the power of self-belief over external validation. This story also exposes how systems protect perpetrators like Diana and Vance, burying complaints until the victim fights back, a call to dismantle silence and demand accountability. Finally, it's a reminder that victory isn't the end. It's a checkpoint, with new battles, like Harold's looming revenge, waiting in the wings. Marcus teaches us to stand tall, not just for ourselves but for those like Caleb caught in the crossfire. So, what's your take? How far would you go to protect what you've built against hate? Drop a comment with your thoughts. Hit like if Marcus's fight fired you up, subscribe for more tales of grit, and share if you believe in standing up to injustice. Thanks for riding this wild jet with us. Here's to soaring above the storms in your own life.